Okay, thank you for everybody waiting a little bit. We got some new equipment learning to operate, so thank you. Welcome to Hiawatha regular meeting, September 1st, 2021. Roll call, please.
Jerry Mowinkle,
Here.
Amy Wickendall,
Here.
Rob Archibald,
Here.
Dick Olson,
Here.
Steve Dotson.
Approval of the agenda.
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Citizens input. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to approach the mic and discuss anything that's not on the agenda tonight? If you do, jump up. If not, we'll keep on moving. Okay, reports, council, Kim, myself.
Not me.
I just have a couple things. Last night we celebrated the opening of our public safety and training building across the street and wanted to thank everybody for attending that event. The police department, this is just a great building for them along with our community development department as well. So we really thank everyone for coming out for that. And then as a reminder, our State of the City is tomorrow afternoon. So hopefully we'll see everybody there. And lastly, I just want to, since it'd be great since we have everybody here tonight, to remind everybody and let everybody know we are holding a tree relief committee put together a 400 tree event that is all of those that live in the city of Hiawatha have the ability to purchase at a very reduced cost, $25 for a tree. This event will be held on September 26th, and we will do this at Kirkwood, the regional center here along Boyson Road. We're jointly doing this with Trees Forever, and we have fundraised dollars to be able to do this. And so we're very thankful to those individuals and businesses that have chipped in to make this happen. So hopefully everyone will take advantage of that. This is a great program to help support and to add to our tree canopy as we recover from derecho. So hopefully you guys go check that out.
All right, thank you, Kim. All right, we'll move right on to business. We got a proclamation of annual 5th season stand down day for our veterans, and Rob's going to read that. He's got it. Yep.
Yeah. So whereas Valor Incorporated, in partnership with the Cedar Rapids Metro Area Veterans Council, the Iowa City VA Medical Center, and the Lynn County Continuum of Care will hold Lynn County's 15th annual stand down for homeless and near homeless veterans and non-veterans. And whereas stand down is a term used in times of war in which exhausted combat units come off the battlefield to rest and recover in a place of safety. And whereas, according to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, the first stand down was organized in 1988 by a group of Vietnam veterans in San Diego. And whereas today, stand down also refers to a community-based program that provides assists homeless and near homeless veterans transition to community living by providing access to human service agencies, including benefits counseling, Social Security and veterans, employment and training assistance, eye exam screenings, healthcare screenings, housing services, legal assistance, mental health treatment, and substance abuse counseling. And whereas stand downs have been used as an effective tool in reaching out to the homeless veterans, nationally reaching more than 200,000 veterans and their families. Now, therefore, I, Rob Archibald, on behalf of Mayor Bill Bennett, City of Hiawatha, do hereby proclaim September 10th, 2021 as the 15th annual 5-season Stand Down Day and encourage residents to recognize the positive impacts of this event to assist veterans and to express gratitude to those who have served and continue to serve.
All right, thank you. And I'll be happy to sign that.
Thank you to any veterans we have in the audience tonight.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get right on with business. Edgewood Village Edition. A, public hearing to consider a request from Northern Boundaries to rezone Edgewood Village Edition in Lynn County, Iowa, from A to R5. PUD ending the zoning district map as specified in Chapter 165, Section 165.17. And we're going to open that public hearing at 5:40. And have we received anything in the mail?
Yes, we have.
Okay. And then
Mhm. One, two, three.
you want to go,
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe we just would open it up
yeah, get going with
for
it.
those that are in
Yep.
favor, and then we'll open up that discussion, and then we'll hit these. Does that sound fair?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're going to open up with anybody in the audience that would like to speak on opposition of this item. Would they please step up to the mic? Or in
First, we're
well, yeah, let's do it in
I'm-
favor first.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's
right.
do the presentation first.
Okay, let's see the let's let them speak in favor of the project.
May I take this off?
Yeah, absolutely. We got the 6 feet rule in here.
Just make sure to speak into the mic too, so that those viewing virtually can hear you as well.
Yeah,
Perfect. Josh Entler representing Northern Boundaries LLC, the developer, applicant, and infrastructure provider. Having sat on the Planning and Zoning Commission for a number of years, I first would like us to just recall some of the highlights of the comprehensive plan. This is your 2036 comprehensive plan. And wanted to, big picture, one of the goals of the comprehensive plan on page 3 is housing, to encourage a mix of quality housing of alternative opportunities, including apartments, townhomes, and condos that are affordable and attractive to a variety of income levels. Further down in the list in section 3 of the comprehensive plan, there is a strategy related to this specific goal. The strategy is to create zoning standards to ensure a variety of housing types, and that is supported by amending ordinances to remove barriers to affordable housing, allowing for dwelling units and structures on smaller lots less than 7,500 square feet. Our proposal meets the R5 standard, which is 6,000 square feet. There is a future land use map, an existing land use map, and a future land use map. I know many here are probably familiar with this. This site is identified on the land use map as medium density residential. I'd be happy to leave this up here in case somebody does not have a copy of it or is not familiar with it. And then in the future land use categories, as we've identified, this entire parcel is classified as medium density residential. I'll just be quick and read the definition of medium density as defined in the comprehensive plan. Is areas that are intended for housing at densities between 2 and 4 units per acre, but not to exceed 8 living units per acre. Our overall development on the aggregate comes in at 5.2 units per acre. So we're right within the definition of medium density residential. And the uses in this category include single family attached duplexes, twin homes, townhomes, row houses, apartment buildings, and senior housing. And then there's a supplemental definition and some strategies for the medium density residential segment. And I wanted to highlight 3 of those strategies. Strategy number 1 being an opportunity for someone who wants to own but needs to meet a lower price point than the existing new detached housing stock. And that's I believe you'll hear from our builder here shortly. That's also a shared intent and shared vision of theirs to provide a lower housing price point compared to the existing housing stock. Strategy number 2 is uses that are appropriate transition between commercial areas and low density residential. As you'll see in the land use map, we do have low density residential to our west, as well as to the north, and then commercial to the south. So this fits precisely the strategy here. And then a portion of the third strategy is to provide alternative dwelling units for those who may not be interested in purchasing a home. That's referencing single family home. So that's where we throw in the component of our proposal does have townhomes in there if somebody doesn't want the obligation of a single family home. So that's just a reference to some of the highlights of the comprehensive plan. We are 25% into your comprehensive plan adopted in 2016. It's supposed to go through 2036. We've got another 15 years to live out that plan. Then the staff report relevant to this evening. I realize maybe not everybody in the community may have a copy of that. So I would like to just hit a couple of the highlights. And again, thank you to staff and to Pat for preparing a well-written staff report for this application. One of the comments, or I'll paraphrase here, one of the report sentences is the plan development matches the intent of the comprehensive plan and creates an integral part of a healthy neighborhood containing a variety of living arrangements. Further down in the segment, the density proposed is exactly what the comprehensive plan describes for this lot and is a transition piece as development progresses south towards the commercial to our south. And then one other comment further on in the report referencing the screening that we're going to be providing against the interstate, against Edgewood Road. So that would be from our medium density. Is that not turned on?
Yeah, it's on. Just need to get you a little closer.
Perfect. So in reference to the screening that we're going to provide to the south, from the commercial to our west, to the low density residential, and to the east, to the interstate, the screening and setback specifications, along with the natural features in the forested floodplain, will assure that this area is properly sewn into the fabric of the community. This development and these amenities will create a healthy neighborhood envisioned in the comprehensive plan. So again, thank you to staff for providing that for us. I will leave copies up here. And also I wanted to point out, we have 50-foot wide lots proposed in this development, which meet the R5 standard. The townhomes meet the R7 standard. I think we've got some developments further on in the agenda this evening. There are 70-foot wide lots across the street from us. But as you'll see in the map, that's intended to be low density residential. We're intended to be medium density residential. So we're trying to fit a higher development standard. So I thank you and I appreciate your consideration tonight. Thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to field any questions either now or later if we have that opportunity.
We can do that later.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Seth Moulton, representative for D.R. Horton. Address is 1910 Southwest Plaza Shops Lane, Ankeny, Iowa. I'm representative for D.R. Horton here in the Midwest. We handle the markets of Des Moines, Eastern Iowa, and Omaha areas. So I am from a Des Moines resident. Actually, my mother and father-in-law actually live in Hiawatha.
Oh.
So my wife is a Cedar Rapids native. So I get to travel over here often. They would probably tell you not often enough. But obviously, we want to thank you guys all for your consideration for tonight's meeting. Obviously, I think we know, like several communities around the United States, that most markets right now are underserved in housing. And that's become a big challenge for a lot of communities due to the fact that we have shortage in commodities. Obviously, we had a pandemic. And pricing and people are in a crazy world right now. I mean, our average costs have risen $50,000 to $60,000 over the last 3-4 months in just construction on a single home, which obviously makes it a challenge. However, what we're also seeing is that due to the lack of housing stock in almost every single community, that there is almost a stagnation that's actually happening in these markets. Right now, I'm just pulling up the MLS data from as of Monday, so a couple days old. But as of right now, it's showing currently one active listing as a ranch home in Hiawatha. It's a 2,100 square foot ranch. It's priced at $750,000. There's currently no homes that are under contract. And there is no homes that have actually closed that are ranches, new construction in Hiawatha in the last 6 months. When it comes to the 2-story market, there is not one 2-story active, pending, or sold over the last 6 months inside of the city of Hiawatha, new construction. When we go to the resale markets, we have a ranch market right now that is showing 0 active ranches for sale under $975,000 in the city of Hiawatha. That obviously to me is kind of a travesty because that tells me that families are unable to come to this community to live. When it comes to pendings, there is one home currently under contract. That is a ranch that is 2,073 square feet for $650,000. That's what it's pending today for. Again, these kind of price points, there is a buyer for these homes. But again, what we're proposing is not for that buyer. Now, on the flip side too, I wanted to make it known that we are not coming in here to try and build a discounted home. We are a national company, largest single family home builder in America. We do build in almost every single major market in the United States. On top of that, we have very heavy architectural guidelines that a lot of our municipalities will require us to do. So therefore, design is something that we take very seriously. And again, understanding that the community that we're coming into has already set a design. I did take some pictures. I don't know if they got sent to anyone here.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd show those.
Oh yeah, so I sent some pictures over. These are homes currently that we have built in Ankeny. I just drove around this morning, took some photos. Some different houses. We got 2-story mixtures, ranch mixtures, and all of that. Again, we've got multiple textures. Now, what I also did is I asked my marketing team, I said, hey, get on Google Maps and look at the neighborhood across the street and take pictures just from the street view. So we can see these houses versus the homes that we're proposing. I think what you'll see is they're very similar. Other thing that you'll see is they're very similar in size for these homes. Again, allowing us to have a little bit more density on the frontage. We've got house plans that will fit inside of these parameters because nationally, because costs are so much, curb footage is very expensive, which is what's driving overall price points up. So again, what we're proposing is to build these homes in Hiawatha to provide a housing stock that clearly is underserved right now. Number two, when you see houses that have 2-car garages, any of our houses can have a 3rd-car garage on them as long as the lot will fit it. A lot of our house plans range anywhere from 29 feet wide up to 39 feet wide on a 2-car side. So again, we do have several house plans that will be able to have a 3rd-car garage. Another thing is we do not want to sacrifice square footage just to drive down price. Most of our plans that we're proposing are going to be in that 1,500 square foot range on a ranch on the main floor up to 1,650 square feet. And on the 2-story side, 1,800 up to 2,600 square feet on a 2-story. So we're definitely not trying to discount on square footage as well. On the townhome side, townhomes right now, I think most people would probably agree that is probably the new barrier to entry-level housing in communities. And again, what we're proposing is a 26-foot wide townhome. It is 1,645 square feet, 3 bedrooms. So again, it is geared towards either a young professional or a very young family that's looking to move to town. And again, with that kind of housing product in this location, we do feel that there is a need that's for sure out there. And again, like I said, I'm here to take any questions. Like I said, we want to be good stewards of the land here in Hiawatha and good neighbors as well. So with that, I appreciate your time and consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we want to questions? Can we ask?
Has any questions for
Yeah.
Seth?
Yeah.
You guys, just a quick question, Seth. I mean, you showed us the 4 pictures here. I assume, are you going to employ all of these designs, or do you have different designs, or will they be pretty?
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to explain, but we have about a dozen house plans that we typically build for a vast majority of our single family homes. Each one of those elevations, each one of those house plans has 5 different base elevations. So some have porches, some don't have porches, some have hip roof designs, some have gable roof designs. Inside of those 5 elevations, there's actually 5 variations of that elevation. So basically every house plan has about 25 different elevation options for the exterior. So really the chances of us actually repeating the same house twice are very slim in any community we go to. And then on top of that, you also have, call it a half a dozen exterior color options. So when you put those color elevation options to different house plans or call elevation types, again, we do not want to build just what I would call a cookie cutter community when you're seeing the same thing over and over again. And we've definitely seen that in other markets here in the Cedar Rapids area. But again, we want to basically bring character to the neighborhood, but then also we want to be able to bring something that is attainable to the people here at Hiawatha. So
So I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to ask, you told us what the prices were of the market, but what are your houses, a ranch, a two-story, what are they going to, what's the average price on those?
Yeah, so right now I can't necessarily speak to what pricing will become because by the time this development's in the future, we're talking a
Understand.
year plus down the road. What I will tell you is what's happening, call it the Des Moines Metro or Omaha, where markets we are currently actively for sale. Typically speaking, a house that was a 2,000 square foot two-story in Des Moines market was priced around $300,000 6 to 9 months ago. Today, that same house is priced around $360,000. And again, that $360,000 in the Des Moines market is virtually the entry-level housing today, where most of the, call it the more custom is starting in the 450 to 500 range. So again, we are trying to drive a housing stock that is underserved clearly in these markets. And obviously, we are a for-profit company, so we obviously do need to make money to obviously continue to grow, but we do definitely take into account who is our prospective client, who is going to be our customer that we are going to serve on that side. So again, over here, frankly, I mean, looking at this market, it's so hard right now to price a home because there are so few comparables because it's become so stagnant. A lot of this will become what the cost becomes and trying to make a fair wage and provide a housing stock in this type of market.
Well, at the prices you quoted, it sounds like it's going to have to be a young professional family that's going to be able to afford these.
Yeah, a lot of our families are young professional families. I mean, we have programs. A big percentage of our families that buy our homes are police officers, are firefighters, are teachers, the military, those type of people that are looking for a housing stock that right now cities are unable to basically deliver right now, unfortunately.
Right.
Yes. And then obviously with the townhomes, that price point, generally speaking, will be $80,000 to $100,000 less expensive than the single family, which will open up that buyer to say, come to this community, have a beautiful home, and as you grow professionally, you can take the next step and stay in town.
A follow-up to that, our housing study that we did a couple of years ago
Yes.
indicated a very strong market for homes in roughly 330 to 350 range.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're trying to hit that sweet spot, and we'll be able to do that.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, we currently are building in West Branch, Iowa. West Branch was the first area we acquired our lots over there. We've done about 17 starts over there in the last 2 months, which for West Branch, Iowa, same thing. There's virtually no housing. And what we're going to go over there is provide a house for people that are looking to move to West Branch. And we don't anticipate anything different here. And that's the thing is, with our company, we will have a consistent starts pace, which means you will always have new homes that will be able to be moved in within 30 days. And again, that's the inconsistency that we're seeing in, frankly, markets all across the United States because there's not housing stock ready.
And you also talked about, if I heard you correctly, there are roughly 25 iterations of these homes. If I heard you
Of
correctly.
each floor plan, there's 25 different iterations,
Yes.
correct. And on
Okay.
top of that, approximately 6 different color options. So yes,
Definitely no cookie cutter type things.
absolutely not.
My question though is, you talked about that based on elevation. Are you talking about the topography elevation of the land?
I'm referring to the architectural elevation of the exterior, front elevation of the house.
Okay.
Yes.
Not relative to, the fact of the matter is, this property is very flat. It's not like Del Ridge or Pines and Turtle Creek where you've got lots of slope and that kind of stuff to deal with.
Yeah, correct. So with that, I mean, that's just more of it's what we would consider a full basement market. When you don't have the walkout option because the land doesn't allow it. Definitely it's a basement market though. So we're planning on putting basements in all these homes minus the townhomes.
So your West Branch community that you're starting right now, what are those lot sizes that you're looking at their average?
I'd have to go back and look, but I believe they're around 50 feet for those lots over there. I know our 39-foot, 1,500 square foot ranch does not fit on majority of the lots for 3-car garage. So that puts that lot somewhere between 50 and 55 feet.
So very similar to this.
Very similar, yes.
On that lot size, I think I read that you're looking at an average lot size of somewhere around 0.15 acres.
Mhm.
And that translates to about 6,500 square feet.
Yes.
If you use the 43,560
Yep.
square foot per
Yep.
acre. And the size of the homes, you're looking at maybe somewhere in the average of 1,900, 2,000 square feet or less.
Yeah, so ranch homes, we would project between 1,500 and basically 1,650 square feet for a ranch on the main floor above grade. 2 stories would be anywhere from 1,800 square feet up to 2,400 to 2,600 square feet.
Okay.
So again, our plans, because the smaller lot frontage has changed the way houses are being designed throughout the United States. So our plans have started to meet these new zoning codes all over and allow us to actually put a home that we're not sacrificing square footage on a lot that has less frontage. So
And to that point, then, if you've got a 6,500 square foot lot and you're putting, if you want to use the 1,500 number, you've got 5,000 square feet of green space. So these are not crammed in.
yeah, you typically have a garage and driveway, but a lot of these houses for rear yard setbacks, you could have 30 to 35 feet or more of rear yard times 50 feet, which is definitely a normal backyard for most families, especially in a entry to second, type home that people are looking for.
They bring up a good point in terms of the driveway and the garage. So run those calculations just roughly. If you're talking about a 6,500 square foot lot and you've got a 1,500 square foot house, add the garage and the driveway, what kind of green space footprint does that leave then?
Okay, so if you ran like most square footage is only run to the inside of the start of the sidewalk, so there is a little bit of extra, call it city area, that is maintained by the homeowner. But if you just took from inside the sidewalk, which is where the square footage would come from, and you had a typical 2-car garage, driveway, that's 420. You'd approximately have on a 1,500 square foot ranch, you would have 2,000, 6,500, approximately 4,500 square feet of green space.
Okay. So overall, if I looked at the numbers correctly, there's roughly 57% of those 40-some acres green space. Is that correct?
I would say that's probably somewhere, yes. That's probably correct.
I mean, that would
Based off of
calculate.
those calculations.
That's all.
Anything else? I just know that 2 years ago, after we did the study for housing, we were very concerned. And so we loaded up and we headed over to Des Moines where everything starts. And we looked at the smart homes that were going, and we had a lot of interest for that type of dwelling that, our city doubles in size during the day. And it's sad that people don't have the availability to live in the city they work.
Yes.
And so, okay, that's all I had to.
That's all I got right now.
Anybody else? Good. Okay. Well, thank you, Seth.
Thanks, Seth.
Anybody else want to speak in behalf of, in favor? If not, we're going to change to in opposition. And same story. They step up to the mic and please state your name and address. And
my reading glasses. I'm Jim Haddad, treasurer of the Del Ridge Homeowners Association. Mr. Mayor, council members, and city officials. I live at 3040 Del Ridge Court. We've had our land for about 5 years and built our homes 2 years ago. Only over the past week have we become aware of this plan. Before I state my concerns, I want to make 2 specific points. Number 1, we all know this piece of farmland was going to be developed. There's no doubt about that. Number 2, it is farmland that is basically flat with no trees and abuts the interstate. So all realize the development potential is limited for this piece of property. The Hiawatha Master Plan of 2016 states that the land is for medium intensity housing. In my business career, in which I was a CFO of a company that started out to be very small, that grew to be very large, I developed many strategic plans and was a part of a whole bunch for nonprofits that I'm involved in. As time progressed, the sayings, "the devil is in the details," always applied, and here's where this plan falls significantly short. Our main concerns are as follows. The lots are too small. Most are 0.15 acre. Pictures that we've shown here were not on 0.15 acre. I can guarantee you that. The definition of green space, lots are just crammed together. Green space is open areas, cul-de-sacs, different things would provide an environment that enable you to build a community. Number three, all the streets are not straight. There's no character to this development. You could basically take out a ruler and draw it. There's no buffer to the interstate. With this many new lots, there will continue to be increased traffic on Edgewood, and they'll cause other infrastructures along with that. I'm a lifelong resident of the Cedar Rapids area and have traveled extensively for business and pleasure. One thing is constant, whether my relatives, my friends, or my business acquaintance who visit or I talk to them in their hometown, they admire the space we have to live in. Everyone is jealous because we don't have to live on top of each other. As I look at our local area, there's without a doubt plenty of land to be developed. As I look at this plan, I would think it would be built in a large metro area like Chicago suburbs, not Hiawatha, Iowa. This was designed with one fact in mind and one fact only: cram as many lots as possible into the plot. It is surely not designed by Iowans for Iowans. I was on the United Way Board and Executive Committee for many years, and I'm currently on the Greater Cedar Rapids Foundation Board, along with one of their committees that grants. I am well aware of the affordable housing issues in our community. Our plans to solve this issue must build communities, not tract developments. Tract developments have failed over and over in this country. They do not build communities. In concluding, I hope you will take my concerns and many of our neighbors who have contacted you in the past few days. If we've had more time, we'd be able to do more research, relevant comparisons, etc., to other developments. As people drive down 380, the first thing they will see is this development, and it needs to be a good impression, and this plan is certainly not it. Thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
I have 12 copies of a letter if you guys would like to have one of them.
Of what?
The letter. Yeah,
We-
Sure.
I'm going to go over.
Yeah.
Sure.
absolutely.
You guys can
Yep.
spread them out. Whatever.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, Craig Marischuk, Sally Seth, 4806 Mary Green Court, Cedar Rapids, adjoining property to what this proposed property is. Mine's pretty straightforward and simple. I'm complaining about the size of the lots and the density of the population. My opinion is that this is going to be too tight of a development. It's only going to help to read. This is far greater than any of the current surrounding parcels, and as such is not within the norms of the surrounding parcels. It will only cause unbalanced population density within the area and housing elevation discrepancies that will have detrimental effects for all adjoining parcels that will only get more severe as time goes on. We all know how properties change. They start off great, and then they drop downhill. This is probably going to go to rentals as time goes on, and it's going to be crammed in there tight. There's going to be traffic issues. There's going to be parking issues. There's street size issues. It's just going to be like on Broderick. I don't know if you've ever been over to Broderick Street, narrow road, tight area. I take my truck in there. I've knocked over mailboxes backing out of the driveway before, just because the roads are so narrow. Things that I do not condone this, and I wish they'd be redesigned as a less dense than 0.15 acres per acre or per house.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
So my name is Jessica Bullerman, and I am the president of Pines at Turtle Creek HOA, and I'm also a resident at 3515 Diamond Head Circle. So I'm just going to read a statement really quick, and then I wasn't going to mention all of the oppositions that's been raised by the neighbors, but I think I will just run through them if that's okay with you
Sure.
guys.
Sure.
So please accept this statement and documentation on behalf of the Pines at Turtle Creek Homeowners Association in opposition of the Edgewood Village development zoning from A to R5 and proposed residential design. The Pines at Turtle Creek Homeowners Association have recently become aware of the rezoning request from agricultural to R5 residential in support of the Edgewood Village project. We understand that this design was part of a larger community development plan that was created back in 2016. However, this recent news did come to our members as a surprise and was not received well. As northern neighbors to the proposed development, we are concerned that the zone is not commensurate with the neighborhood. As stated in the agricultural zone, the intention is not only for agricultural use, but also to help guide urban growth into suitable areas. By definition of a R5 resident district, it's intended to provide areas for a wide range of housing types, including one-family dwellings, homes on 0 lot lines, and 2-family attached units while maintaining a moderate density residential character. This design is not intended for housing at densities between 2 and 4 units per acre. As the surrounding areas are all low-density developments, we propose to the council to vote no to an R5 and then place further consideration to R1 or R3 for this area, if that's even an option at this time. Additionally, we find that the reputation and evidence against the proposed developer should be taken further into consideration. When more neighbors are welcomed in the area, we want them to have a positive experience with the city of Hiawatha. Our neighborhood opposition represents 3 specific neighbors that have personal experiences with this type of proposed development zone and designed across 3 states of Illinois, Florida, and Arizona. One even had a specific experience with this organization. The experiences that they have shared as young professionals should not be taken lightly, as they are your target demographics for this proposed location. As you will find below in my statements, we have provided the opposition key points in the neighbor opposition letters that have in like been submitted to the city council directly already. On a personal level, we built our forever home approximately 4 years ago. We have truly enjoyed the beauty of this area and partnering with the city to keep it beautiful. While we are aware that the farm fields to the south of Edgewood will be developed, our concern is that the natural beauty of the area, the distance from the busy city neighborhoods, will not be maintained. In reviewing our city council campaign pledges and statements, we truly believe the city wants to see growth, but in an environmentally friendly manner that will be commensurate with our quality of life and provide a great place to raise family and enjoy nature. This approach is why we voted for and support the decisions that the city council has made. We realize the tax base must be expanded and growth is good, but it must be done in a manner that enhances the city, maintains property values, enhances social function and safety. Our neighborhood's beautiful legacy should not end right after it has just begun. On behalf of myself, my family, and the Pines at Turtle Creek HOA, we respectfully urge you to reject the proposed zone, follow on design, and have a reputable developer come up with a plan that is appropriate for this area of the city of Hiawatha. As both Del Ridge and the Pines at Turtle Creek HOA have expressed our concerns, we do look forward to partnership. With that said, just a quick snapshot of the opposition. The lot sizes are far too small. There are sets of number of 4-unit townhomes. The design is cookie cutter and no character to the home, streets, or green space. I do appreciate the additional information that you provided, though, so thank you for that. The streets are far too narrow and cause concern for life safety, emergency response, snow removal, and waste management. Prohibiting on-street parking will need to be enforced, which will take valuable local municipality resources for said enforcement. There's no green space, landscaping, or trees included in the design. There's no tree buffer along I-380 and Edgewood Road. This will be needed for noise pollution. Hiawatha Comprehensive Plan states the medium-density residential areas will provide generous landscaping with an emphasis on native species. There's little room for this. Hiawatha Comprehensive Plan states the medium-density residential areas have common open spaces to provide gardens, grass areas, and playgrounds to serve the needs of residents. It does not include this. Edgewood Road and Terrace Road also have not been improved fully to be able to handle the amount of traffic that this and other developments to add to the area, and is already used by many people for trail and walking exercise. It could increase the dangers of that activity. The Planning and Zoning Commission was concerned with the density of this development. The type of structures allowed might not be best fit next to the existing low-density residential area, especially if more low-density area housing is added to the south. property values and taxes, long-term investments in the neighborhood, property values will not be maintained, and existing neighbors moving into this area pay considerably higher taxes to enjoy the natural appeal of the area, to include wildlife that will be run off by overpopulation and development. New homeowners, a poorly designed neighborhood will be unreputable developers lends to a bad experience and lawsuits. Existing surrounding neighborhoods will be impacted by overcrowding neighborhoods, increased traffic, noise pollution, and other infrastructure issues. That's it.
All right. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Jessica.
much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike McDonough. I'm a resident at 2935 Diamondback Road, a part of the Turtle Creek Homeowners Association. I'm not on the board, but saw the plans that was proposed for this and immediately realized that this is not at all in conjunction with the long-term plan and the density of the housing that we have out there. Everyone in this area for probably a mile either direction live on either an acre or half acre homes. They've built homes that are from 24 to 3,500 square feet. The density here of 0.14 acres is 7 houses per acre. In my calculations indicated that's really about 4,200, 4,300 square feet. You take the 1,500 square foot house off of there. If that's something they're going to build, I can't say how they make bitches. That leaves only 2,700 square feet left over for roads, driveways, the ability to get around. Essentially, that kind of density is like a mobile home park. There's just going to be people packed in on top of each other. And the plan also calls for a number of apartment buildings to go along with it, so the density even increases greater. This just does not comply with what we have developed out there, what's been developed out there, what everybody came there expecting to be developed, to have that kind of location. It probably is suited to somewhere else, probably closer to commercial areas where people need to go and do things. But this area is just not appropriate for that kind of a high density housing. Finally, a little bit of internet research. Didn't take very long to turn up. The D.R. Horton does not have a very good reputation with regard to other projects it has built. For instance, and I could pass some of these around if the council would like to have them, but for instance, in 2017, they had $16.3 million damage award for problems with warranties and not building good homes. In 2019, in another place doing the same thing, a judgment of $14 million for construction defects in particular locations. The one talks about Miami, where the bankruptcy judge found that they engaged in unethical, oppressive, and unscrupulous tactics, and basically forced the homeowners association into bankruptcy because they just were big enough, strong enough, and had enough money to bleed everybody dry. Other things that you could get on the internet are just reviews, and out of a 5-star to 1-star rating, almost 90% of them are 1-star ratings. So it's not just that the density, it's that these people's track record does not indicate that they're going to be here very long. They want to talk about being the largest homeowner in America. Well, that's move in, take advantage of the situation, make your money, move on and get out. And there's nobody left to deal with the kind of fallout we're going to get from that kind of community. And it's just not going to be what this town should be doing and what we should be developing in this area. Thank you. That's all I have for that.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Lynn Hennings, 4805 Mary Green Court. I live right on Edgewood. My ditch is Edgewood Road. This morning I was drinking my coffee. I looked right out at a nice big green cornfield. It's going to become high density housing. We've heard all the facts, all the good information coming from these folks. Are we going to have the letters that were all sent in entered or mentioned or something? I don't want to just read my same letter that if you're going to already cover that. Is that going to happen?
We already have them, but you're welcome to read yours.
No, that's fine. If you guys have it and that's in your,
Or if you want to highlight points, that's fine too.
okay, thank you. I've lived out there for 3 years. My wife and I just bought our forever home, and there's a new development coming right behind us that is under construction. I think Boomerang's doing it, and it's the map here. It does show low density. Our whole street, Mary Green and Bovary, or Bovary Court, whatever, however you say that, it's pretty much 1 acre lots. They have done 0.7. A few more lots in, they're 0.5. A few more lots in, they go down to 0.2 or 0.3, whatever their bottom is. It's a transition on their property. We had a meeting as our neighborhood group on Sunday, and it just isn't a transition. I know on a map it shows low density, medium density, commercial. I get that. We all said, hey, we want the development. Clearly there's demand for houses. What we don't want to do is convince ourselves that we've got to suck up and try and get as many houses in here as we can and try to justify it. With this much of a high density houses, small lots, there needs to be a better transition, frankly, I'll say it selfishly, from my lot to the neighboring lot. To go from my 1 acre and the value of my house to that 0.15 acre right across the street. I know that there's screening, a trail with shrubbery. A trail and shrubbery does not a screen make. North and south, big mature trees, 50-year trees, whatever that is, beautiful, easy screening, noise, light, all that's going to be managed. But man, to our neighborhood, I'm just going to be looking at houses, and I'm sure they'll look great when they're going to be built. I love that. Well, that's good stuff. But the problem is long term. There's going to be rentals here. I don't know if the HOA can restrict that. I'm not going to predict the future. I'm not going to speak to their business model either, because they've got to do what they've got to do. Our concern as a group, when I was sitting there listening to there's probably 30 people in a circle. We were all talking, sitting on folding chairs. Is it doesn't transition. We're worried about such a shock to that neighborhood. When you drive down Edgewood, you're going to look to one side, see one thing, look to the other side, and it's going to jump out. It's going to look new for a little while. That's awesome. But we don't want to do this to fill a short-term need that we've got a problem. Can I ask these guys some questions?
Sure.
Because it relates to what my question is. West Branch, 1,600 square foot ranch, similar size lot. What's it selling for today? Best guess.
We have listed the house, but 2-car garage, plan on pricing that house at like $329.
Okay. Thank you. I didn't want to reference Des Moines. Des Moines special. Does that satisfy a starter home for young professionals? My daughter, 28, 8 years in college, going to become a doctor. Young professional, her husband just bought a house for $165. It's not a new house. It's not new construction. But, that's a starter house for young professionals. $325, to me, doesn't fit that category. I know that the market is artificially sky high right now, crazy sky high. I don't think we can make a long-term decision based on that right now. Will those houses all of a sudden come down? If in 2 years, your third phase or whatever phase is, are you going to all of a sudden say, okay, well, wood's cheap now. Now we can sell them for $225? Would that ever happen? No. So we're designing a business model and a development model for this medium density housing. We all agree it's going to be houses, and that's great. But let's put the extra effort and consideration into the transition, not just a block on a map. Get us down the street transitioning good. And I just referenced the one behind me because they do that. And I'm not speaking for my neighbors. It's just something we all said, well, yeah, we didn't even flinch at this. But this is something everybody is flinching at. And I think that's worth consideration, not to just, okay, yeah, we need this. Let's do it. Love housing, love to take the pressure off, because my other daughter's looking for a house. Hell, I'd love to have her across the street. She might not say that, but she's a young professional, going to get married next month, and she'd love to do that, but she can't do $325. And I know she's not going to want to fix her upper. She's going to want to buy something that's done. So this doesn't solve that need now. And I just, please consider that. And time is a wonderful thing. A little bit of time might help us to work better together to transition this into something that maybe more of us could say, okay, not perfect, but right now there's not a whole lot to that anybody can say is perfect, if there is such a thing.
All right.
Get the letters in there too, please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep, I'll leave that map.
Daughter's going to move back in with mom and dad. Is that what I heard? Daughter's going to move back in with mom and dad. Is that what I heard?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brad Hauge. I live at 4807 Mary Green Court, which is just right next door to Lynn. I've been there about 20 years or so. I'm not going to be able to argue any better than what everybody else has already. I'm opposed to it, obviously. I'm not opposed to development. I know there's going to be houses out there at some point, and that's just fine. I think I'm just concerned about the congestion. I don't feel like there's enough of a transition from the existing neighborhoods to a neighborhood that has that many houses and that small of lots in it. There's a lot of people that run and bicycle on that street on Edgewood right there. There's some blind hills, there's a sharp S curve, and I know they looked at traffic and all that, but I just have a feeling that many more people in such a small area it's just going to cause too much congestion. When I looked at the future plan for Hiawatha, the medium density residential, they talk about maintaining neighborhood property values over time and enhancing the social function and safety of the neighborhood. And this just seems contrary to that. And they also talk about landscaping, providing generous landscaping with an emphasis on native plant species. I don't know how much landscaping you can do on such a small lot. I'm just concerned, again, like I say, what it's going to do to my property values, what it's going to do to the amount of cars on that street, how it's going to affect my value on the house. They've talked about how there is a demand for houses of that size or lots of that size and value, but right now there's a demand for every size of house. And you can kind of see that just in the neighborhoods that are represented here, Del Ridge and Pines of Turtle Creek. They're going up pretty fast, and they're not on tiny little lots, so they are selling. And I think it's interesting to note that everybody that's been for this has just been people that are financially or otherwise going to benefit from it, and they're not going to have to live with it like we will down the road. I think it can be a development just with a little bit bigger size lots. So
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sally Seth, 4806 Mary Green Court. We live right next to the property.
If you feel comfortable, you could take your mask off.
Oh, sure.
It'd help. Thank you.
Sure, sorry.
And your
My
name again?
biggest concern is possibly the quality of the homes. When you see the ratings, you see things like leaky roofs that are never fixed and many things like that. We had a derecho last summer. What if a derecho went through this area if the homes are not constructed well? I lived in Eau Claire, Wisconsin for a while, and Menards built a development that wiped out with a derecho that went through there. There was nothing left. So I just don't want to see a catastrophe that we could possibly ward off by just a little more planning.
Okay.
So that's my thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Regarding structure, our company, we are probably the only company that I am personally aware of that we actually have a structural engineer with a structural stamp all of our residential homes. That's something you typically see in a commercial development, but we actually do have structural engineers that approve every one of our single family plans. We too in Des Moines have the derecho. We got it probably about 30 minutes before you guys did. And yes, we definitely had some roofs that had damage and shingle issues. Every single one of those houses was taken care of. We did not have any houses that fell over, did not have any of that kind of issues. But again, we had the storm just before you guys. And again, our homes performed like the engineers designed them to. So just to speak to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I speak to that, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
My name is Jeff Segan, 110 Southeast Grant. I'm with ATI Group. We're a commercial real estate firm. So I do have an interest in helping the developer introduce D.R. Horton. But I have a personal experience with D.R. Horton. My son, first home that he bought in Scottsdale, Arizona, was constructed by D.R. Horton. There are lots similar to what we're talking about here. Resales in the neighborhood have been vibrant. People bought at one price. They're making money on it. They've had good service. I personally live in a house that Seth built. So I personally experienced it, and they're good builders. We had similar concerns in Ankeny when I was city manager when Skogman came to Ankeny. It's going to be the ruination of the community. Smaller lots, tract builder. If you go to Ankeny, Iowa today to State Street, in the northeast corner of State and First, you'll find Village Park, which was the Skogman community. Resales are great. Home values are good. They've appreciated. They were a very good builder that came to our community, did very well. So I think there's a lot of things that can be said, but I think that you'll find that Horton, just like Skogman, stands behind their product and they're good people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrea Orth. My family lives at 2925 Diamond Head Road. We moved there from Chicago, actually. I'm from here originally, but we moved from Chicago. We lived in Chicago for approximately 6 years, so I submitted a letter. I am an attorney, and I submitted a letter. Hopefully everyone got the attachments as well, and I apologize if you received it twice. It was difficult to see if it had actually gone through or not. I am also concerned with the small size of the lots, but D.R. Horton is a big concern to me. I mean, all across the country, you look at the customer ratings, 1.19 out of 5, and that's just 180 customer rating reviews. That's on the Better Business Bureau. But closer to home, just to talk a little bit, and I've never gone through their homes, so I have no idea what it looks like really. But within my review, within my letter, there was a review on consumer affairs from, her name is Emma from West Des Moines. And her original review was from July 6th of this year. And she identified that basically D.R. Horton, they built it almost a year ago. They had a salesperson who promised more than she could deliver, and then she moved to Houston, and she was just gone. So they had nobody to finish. They were hanging without an agent, she said. They finished their home, which was a little over $300,000. They had a huge crack in their foundation the first day before closing and were promised by the manager that would promptly be fixed. She then quit. And then the guy who said that their home wasn't $1 million home was also moved, and they never heard back from him. As far as I know, it has never been fixed. It's been almost a year in their home. They failed to address it each time. They always say there's something else wrong with it, like something that, and I don't know her. So again, we're going off a review that it's closer to home. So when they say that all the structural damages were fixed, I mean, this is a crack in the foundation. And if they can't fix something like that, I'm concerned about the quality of the homes. When we lived in Chicago, there was an issue with, we called them Cinder Block City. If you've ever gone to Chicago, so what happened was they would build these homes, they'd have nice brick facades, and then they'd have these big blocks that the rest of the house would be built on. And some of them are single family homes. A lot of them were 4 flats or 3 flats. And we actually lived in, when we first lived there, it was on the ground floor unit. And what they did was they had too much sand, I guess, in the, I don't want to get into all of it, but basically there was water that would go through and you could see the lines down. There was mold. And that's some of the problems that I saw in brief research on on the homes that they build. So D.R. Horton, well, we don't know for sure. I agree. Skogman, that's a local name. We know Skogman. We know Skogman really well. There are, and you can, if you have an issue, you can reach someone through a Skogman here. I'm concerned that we're going to go through someone that is self-proclaimed America's largest home builders. And they're just going to pack up and leave. And that's exactly what happened with this lady, it looks like. So while we can't predict the future, wouldn't it be better to make sure that we have lot sizes that are appropriate for a good transition so that the people who move in are going to stay, and they're going to make sure that the homes are well kept and the values remain. I'm very concerned about having some major conglomerate come in and they build it and they leave, and that's it. So anyway, that's my letter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm Brian Steffen. I'm at 4814 Bovary Court, Cedar Rapids. We're in the neighborhood just directly west of the planned development. My wife and I were amongst several that got together this weekend and discussed this development, very suddenly informed of such a development. I've got several things listed here, and I'll leave this letter as part of my comments, but primarily it does, as several others have already noted, the concern really is about the density and the frankly stark transition that occurs from the neighboring developments. When we built out here 10 years ago, this was at a time before Hiawatha even was out that north of town. We built for a just outside the city feel on an acreage, and knew that eventually development was going to occur. This plan, I think it is being maximized to its fullest extent by the developer in this case, and I think it is in stark contrast to the aesthetics that exist out in that area. You have very small lots for the actual single family units. But when you consider the area that they want to call the PUD section, where they have the townhomes and the condos, you're looking at now over 10 units per acre in that area. It ends up being a very stark difference from the aesthetic that exists between the Del Ridge development, Pines at Turtle Creek, the Rolling Prairie Estates, even with all the additional developments that are occurring currently. So we think that, again, a rethought out plan that has a better transition for that density, again, in accordance with your plan, with the Hiawatha plan. I think just a couple other points to consider. I don't know if the traffic considerations have really been met and analyzed to the extent. You've got Miller Road, which is a main artery that feeds into this area, which frankly is in very poor condition, given everything around it and the traffic it takes. There's the plan for Terrace, the interchange. And while it's been on the plan for the last 15 years, they always say that it's coming, but it's coming. Maybe in fact it is.
It really is.
I think that it is. But when that goes into effect and they start doing that, you're going to cut off a very high traffic transition point of traffic, which is either going to force traffic going up Miller to continue on up Edgewood, or you're going to have, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if the traffic considerations have been fully considered in that regard. I'd also I don't know if reading through the development plan that was submitted from the Planning Commission, I don't know if all the fire services were taken into account as well. The volunteer fire department is 10th and Emmons. It's quite a ways away from where you're now planning to put a bunch of families and units. Small streets, big fire trucks, they don't necessarily meet. I think the last thing that I'd want to reference, again, just touching on the aesthetics of the neighborhoods. Our specific neighborhood, we have big acre lots. That's what we wanted. That's how it was developed. At Del Ridge, they've got a pond. There's the decent sized lots up there. There's lots of trees. There is green space. I mean, true green space. Pines at Turtle Creek, they have a community park in it. There is a design element around providing a space for community to occur. There is not that in this plan. There is nothing about this plan that talks about, with the exception of a sidewalk that goes right along Edgewood, that is, again, a super busy street. So from that perspective, both my wife and I, we both have signed this in view of our opposition. I think those are the points of concerns that we'd like to issue.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name's Jeff Cater. I live in the Del Ridge division. I have some specific questions for the developer, I guess, that I'd like to answer that I think are relevant. I've built 3 homes in this area, 1 in Cedar Rapids and 2 in the Del Ridge division myself. And I guess the question I have is, where is their labor coming from? Is this going to come from out of state, where we're bringing in people who have no reputation, who have no investment in the community? You know, you get quality homes when you have people who poor basements who live here. You have people who frame houses who live here. If you're bringing in crews, if you're a nationwide company, I have to presume we're bringing in people from out of state, out of the local community, who we're going to build and leave. And so I think, while I'm opposed to everything else everybody else has said as far as this development is concerned, it's particularly of interest to me to know, where is this labor coming from, and do we allow this particular developer to come in and develop this land when there are other opportunities for other developers with a better reputation who live locally? I mean, I appreciate the fact you live here and have family here, but all that has to be is D.R. Horton hiring somebody locally. So I think that's important.
Okay, Seth, can you answer that for us? Then
Yeah, and just to clarify, we are not the developer. We are the proposed end user that's going to build the homes. We were sought out to come here to fill a need in housing. So I'm definitely not the person that came here to say, hey, this is what I want to do and I want to put it here. We were approached with a need. So again, I hope just to make sure everyone's clear on that.
Okay.
Number 2, the labor situation. There's only one company right now that actually crosses over to Des Moines for our Eastern Iowa operations. That's Klein Electric, who has an operation out of Iowa City and Cedar Falls, Waterloo area already. Everyone else is locally sourced labor. So we have spent almost a year in this market, meeting subcontractors, meeting vendors. Even the work pool in these communities are saying there is not enough housing stock going up to keep them in business. And that has become a big challenge, especially as the duration of a build time has elongated. So when prices have gone up as quick as they have, people's loans are not covering these costs. And these homes are sitting longer and longer to build. Those are being built off the backs of the subcontractors. Again, a company as someone my size, yes, there are unfortunate circumstances all over the United States that sometimes arise. We are not a company that we're 42 years in the business, have started over 94,000 homes around the United States. And why I don't want to see one unhappy customer. Unfortunately, sometimes that's the nature of what we deal with when we deal with people in this process. But again, we're going to come here, try and build a whole bunch of houses and leave. A project like this, we have planned to build over the next 7 years. And that technically would not start until next fall, because at that time, that would be when the homes are ready to build. So again, this would be a slow transition. But by the time this community is done, the Eastern Iowa landscape of housing that is way short, there is a need. And we are talking to several communities around Eastern Iowa, because there is a need virtually in every single one of these communities. That's all very similar. And again, we are not coming here saying we want to do something that is against what the cities are asking for. We're sitting there saying we can provide something that the cities we feel have a need for. Okay.
Right.
So,
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Tonight we've heard they're not against the development, but are you opposed to modifying that slightly to blend into what's already there?
So again, that is completely up to the developer, because again, the financial side of the developer of the implications of losing lots for a piece of ground like this is outside of my privy. Again, an acre lot has a certain price per acre attached to it, and then the infrastructure that goes along with it.
No,
and so that's where, again, to me, typically speaking, when we go through processes like this. It is not uncommon to say buffering lots to an existing neighborhood. If we're proposing 50 foot for a majority of the development, maybe you'll see a 60 or 65-foot lot that will adjoin that property. So that way it gives a better transition. And again, that stuff, we're definitely here to talk and to work with people on, again, on that side. Because again, I definitely do not want to be a bad neighbor, for sure.
Okay. So for your West Branch and your North Liberty operations, are you using D.R. Horton people? Are you subcontracting, or who's actually doing the building?
Yeah, it's so we've hired several employees already for the Eastern Iowa market. These guys are from Eastern Iowa. Kyler, the first builder we have over here, he's built his last project he built was Ruffalo's. I mean, these are local people. We have, like I said, we're in the process of hiring our 10th employee already, and we have just literally staged our first model in this market, and that was in West Branch. But again, when the investment that we're looking to make in Eastern Iowa, it's not you build the house, you get out and you go. We continue to build these projects as we go, and I mean, we will have tens of millions of dollars in use in this side of the state at all times, and that's not something you can just pack up and leave. And we do not have a track record of leaving really any communities that we start in.
Thanks, Seth.
Thanks, Seth.
My name's Rod Short. I live at 4811 Mary Green Court. Neighbors to a lot of the folks that have already spoken tonight. I've got some additional letters that I'll be dropping off for the folks as well. I was at the original Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Edgewood Village on 8/23. I listened to the comments engaged by the commission and the commentary given by the developer. A few things came to my mind as I considered the development in my backyard. First off, it was stressed there was a need for pricing, for this pricing for housing. I believe the builder representative threw out a market price of $325,000. Frankly, I challenge you to find buyers interested in paying $325,000 for the houses that are proposed. I would better estimate this type of housing to be in the max range of $250,000, and even at that pricing, I question the value based on the amenities as I understand them. Who is going to purchase a 1,600 square foot home, 2-stall garage on these 0.14 to 0.18 acres lots as proposed? It was already said there was minimal opportunity for upgrades for a buyer, and the outside facade will be very similar from property to property. What is the market for these types of homes are driving towards? Who is the proposed buyer? I want to see the developer builder give more concrete numbers on the proposed housing pricing for these homes. I don't think we've gotten any numbers, and I would think that we could come up with some numbers there. It seems to be kind of focusing on other communities, and I would think based upon their experience, they could give a better estimate. They're the largest home builder in the nation, so they certainly could tell us what the market will be. Second, I firmly believe the development, although defined as medium density, should be considered high density. When you slam 7 to 8 homes on an acre, how could you not define that as high density? Every way you look at, from the east, west, north, and northwest of this proposed site, there are properties from a minimum of 1/3 acre to 1 acre plus already developed. What sense does it make, and what is the rationale for placing such a development in this area? High density was proposed to be back to the south. How do we feel the need to vacate that plan? My biggest concern is that the city of Hiawatha has interest beyond the master plan, and for me it appears the new vision is more focused on creating tax base than staying true to their word. Despite the wants and needs of taxpayers in the area, I want to give the officials of this community the benefit of the doubt. Please explain to me why the 180-degree turn has come from proposing this type of development in this area. I'm a taxpayer, and what happens to the value of my property when the development is built in my backyard? If it is a tax-based issue, I will guarantee your property values will fall, and Hiawatha's property tax collections will reduce for properties existing near this development. It will be harder to sell an existing home in this area with the high density, tract homes immediately across the street. Don't ignore the opinions of current taxpayers simply to create more future tax base. You will lose confidence in your taxpayers, and they will move on to other communities that better embrace their ideals. Where is the green space in this development? So much focus is placed on green space in commercial development. Why is it forgotten in this residential development? What happens to the watershed and water levels of the creek immediately north of this property? Show me how the current traffic and snow removal infrastructure along Edgewood and Tower Terrace will handle the traffic flow and high density development. City has already have issues with handling snowfall on Edgewood Road. Many times I have to break my own path coming home or going to work. Compound this by adding 200 new dwellings in this small area. Sincerely, Rod Short. I'll just give the rest of the letters over to these folks. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rod.
Thanks, Rod.
Jessica Bullerman, I just wanted to make one more statement. I appreciate the information that was provided. I urge you to look into the letter provided by one of our neighbors that actually lived in the same Arizona neighborhood. So that had considerable complaints with the structure which they purchased. So I will also provide this over for the council.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Knochman. I live at 4810 Mary Green Court, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. That was the home that was featured up on the screen there. For 12 and a half years, I worked for US Cellular, representing them on their engineering side as we zone towers throughout the state of Iowa and northern Illinois. So I've been to countless planning and zoning meetings where I was the applicant and sitting in that seat. I listened to many presentations prior and after my given presentations. And one of the things that I learned over these years that was paramount to what every planner told me was that the transition between residential R1 and the larger residentials, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever you choose to use in your municipality, was one of the things that they did not bend on. They insisted that R1 had a buffer of R2 or R3 before they moved into the larger densities so that they would have a good flow so the city would flow well in terms of traffic, in terms of services, in terms of the look and feel and the, how the city actually looked. People constantly brought up the fact that when they brought up aerial photos, they didn't want their city to look unpleasant by having these large areas of, green space, as we'll call them, the larger lots that we currently live in, to these very, very dense patches right next door. Transitioning to a different topic, one of your Hiawatha firefighters, volunteer firefighters, actually works for me. I work at Rockwell Collins, and he's an engineer, and he reports to me. I brought up this proposed development to him and asked him what he thought. And he said to me, literally, nothing good is going to come from that. He said that he had big concerns about cramming that amount of people in that small a space with the size and road access that's currently on the plan. So that was a big concern that he had. The other thing that I brought up to my 25-year-old son, who's an engineer at Collins, makes a very, very good living. He's looking to buy a house. He's not looking at a $325,000 house as a starter, and he is the epitome of a professional. The average cost of a house here in Cedar Rapids is $165,000. The problem in Cedar Rapids is affordable housing because there is a great broad range of people that live in this city, from professionals like ourselves to blue collar workers that work down at General Mills. We need housing for everybody. And with the average price being $165,000, it would make sense to look at transitioning that space to an R3 and widening up the lots and making something that's much more appealing for the people in the surroundings, allow more green space, because quite frankly, 43 acres with more than half of it concrete, to Rod's point, you're going to have water issues. And with the prediction that thunderstorms are going to become more and more, more intense as time goes on because of the changing in weather, you're going to have major water problems. Working on aircraft like I do, we don't build problems for the future. We just don't. We look to the future and say, what could possibly go wrong with this? And we don't look short term. We look long term and say, what is this going to look like in 20 years? Because this airplane is going to be in the air for a long time. And if we don't do it right the first time, it's going to be a problem. And you can pull an airplane out of the air, put it on the ground, fix it. You can't fix a community that you built. It's just not going to happen. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Sean Carey, 2926 Diamondback Road, Vice President of the Pineza Turtle Creek HOA. I remember the plan when it came out in 2016. We moved in late 2016. So I remember the plan coming out. I remember the mixed use. I remember the determination that we needed to have different types of homes in our community. And I kind of disagree with some of the folks. I actually appreciate that. I think that it is a need. I believe it does need to be addressed. However, the part that I have an issue with tonight is the company doing it. I don't think that a publicly traded company can come into our community with its size, create homes that have that value, that have the quality that we would get from a local company, regardless of whether the contractors are local or not. The operation control of all of those contractors, the specifications, the raw goods that they're getting, the materials they're getting in, the specifications of the homes, all come from the publicly traded company, the entity whose desire is most likely going to align more with their shareholders than they will their future homeowners. I've lived in a home that was built on the south side of Cedar Rapids. It was a cookie cutter type community. The engineer was haul and haul. Every single one of the lots on that property had water flow issues. Mine was at the top of the hill. Somehow I had water flow issues. The quality of the homes wasn't there. And I'm concerned that in this instance, when it comes to a large organization like what we're dealing with and a small community, when we butt heads, there's a lot more that can come to bear. So when it comes to the folks that run the city here, or that are the employees of the city, they have to enforce our zoning laws. They have to enforce the standards that we all set. They have to go up against a very, very large organization. So those are my concerns, mainly with the quality of the person doing the building of the community, not with the idea of mixed use or medium density residential. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Patrick Vanderland. I'm from 4817 Bovary Court. I'm adjacent property to what you guys are proposing here. I'm listening to everything that's going on here, and I can't really add to it. They're all the same arguments that I have. My biggest problem is the density. The other part that I can bring to this that hasn't been mentioned is the fact that if you have houses that are that close together and streets that are that narrow, you're giving very little opportunity for any of these families that are moving into that community to have any sort of people coming to visit. My son lives in a community where this has happened. You can't even come up and park in the street in front of his house because of the restrictions on parking. That's another part of it. The density part of it and the amount of traffic that this will bring to this community scares me. I'm a motorcycle rider. I've ridden for 35 years, coming up and down Edgewood Road there, especially since we've added some of these new communities. It scares me, the amount of traffic that this is going to bring for 200 plus homes in that small area coming up over the top of that blind hill. If you go out and survey that, which I'm sure you guys have all seen it, you're going to have the new community that's right behind my house, exiting onto Edgewood Road, very close to this rather dense area as well. It's just going to create a tremendous amount of traffic, and I'm just concerned about the density. I too completely support the fact that this is all going to be developed at some point. I just have a very big problem with the density of it. So thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there?
Just wanted to submit articles that I had.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing.
Just a second, I just want to reference the other letters that maybe weren't.
Okay.
If you would just mention the names and then whether they're opposed.
We had a letter submitted from Ron Bentley. The same concerns that have already been brought up. He is opposed to this. Also, letter from Alana and Jake Holtz. Same concerns as well. They are also opposed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I think we should just give Seth and Josh one more time if there's something that they'd like to address based on the concerns that the audience has. So just give them one last chance to do that, and then we can go ahead and close.
Okay.
Again, I appreciate listening to all the comments tonight. I mean, honestly, we take these things seriously, and we definitely know that your guys' homes, more than likely, for most people, are their biggest investments that they have. One thing I will speak to is that I've been a licensed realtor in the state of Iowa for 19 years. So I definitely understand property values and what different types of housing will do. The biggest thing that will drive value and pricing is going to be supply and demand. And right now, we basically have no inventory of housing, which has driven up people's pricing more than anything. There's examples all over of higher density mixed use housing product types next to acreage type homes. And those acreage homes are always going to be desirable. The difference is you might be bringing in your future buyer for your house because they can actually afford inside that community. Number two, when we talk about entry level housing for new construction, sometimes that's not talking about necessarily the buyer's first entry, but a lot of times right now is what we find is in a lot of housing markets, entry level housing is actually that $165,000 median house. Those people, as they grow inside the community, if they do not have a house to transition up to, they will stay in that home. Therefore, not opening up a entry-level house for a new person to come into the community and own. And the less people that own inside these communities will give them an opportunity to go find another community to live in. So they have the ability to be a homeowner. And again, to me, American dream for me was always being able to own my own home.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I would like that to be still the dream for many more Americans to come. But again, if we keep with the mindset that we're only going to want the housing to look like mine, we are going to exclude a large amount of people that are not going to be able to obtain that type of housing. And again, there is no statistics that say a housing development like this next to an acreage development would drive down any of those acreage lots because there's no stats anywhere that will do that. Number two, it will make that home more desirable because that is a home that somebody will one day desire to be to. Okay. So again, I appreciate everyone's comments tonight in regards to quality of finish and all that stuff. I will tell you this, throughout the United States, we are all graded as a company on when a customer care ticket comes in and how many days until it is closed. We are one of the top in the United States at under 25 days from the first request that comes in to the time that ticket is closed and signed off by the homeowner. I promise you, we take great pride in taking care of our customers. And again, some people have unfortunate circumstances, but I want you to know that this is a local business. We deal with local people and we want to be a part of the local community. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a couple of questions. The common thread seems to be the concern about obviously the size of the lots. We've heard that. Mm-hmm. The transitioning issue, we've heard that. One of the things that I read in all of the documents that I looked at this weekend is the buffering. And I've heard some comments, if I heard correctly, that there's concerns that there is not going to be any buffering along Edgewood Road, and there's not going to be any buffering along I-380. It's my understanding from what I read that there will in fact be buffering along Edgewood Road and also along I-380. Now, we've experienced this in the past with Fairway coming into town with the Wolf Creek people. We experienced it with Boyson Square, with the Litchfield Drive people. And how we resolved that was having the developer commit to creating living fences. Now, we're not talking about shrubbery here. We're talking about trees. Is this part of the plan?
So, I mean, it's a great question. Again, we were more brought into this to be the home builder. I know the developer, Josh, can speak to that they work with city staff on what the requirements are. And again, if there's more landscape and more buffer, that only helps me create value for our future customers. So yeah, definitely that's not something that we're opposed to, and understand that if that is something that does help with the transition, yeah, we definitely are for things like that.
Well, perhaps he can address that, because I think that's a critical issue. If I lived over on Turtle Creek, or if I lived up on Del Ridge, and or wherever it might be, contiguous to this property we're talking about, I frankly wouldn't want to look at that every morning if I'm sitting out having coffee or whatever it might be. That was really a critical issue with the last two issues that I mentioned. And we assuaged all the concerns with those residents that were in opposition to the two developments that I talked about, with the living fence completely, I'll use the term obliterating, that visual sense. So I think that should be addressed.
Yes. Seth, would you like Susan to talk about, from Holland Hall, to talk about the site plan with that shows where the trees are? And okay. All right.
And thank you again as well. This is valuable feedback for us. And I just want to remind everyone kind of the step in the process that we're in, that this is the pre-PUD application.
Yeah.
We do have a final PUD application submitted in the pipeline so that we can continue to keep it all rolling. That's not slated ideally to be in front of P&Z until the end of this month. So maybe we, with a little bit of luck, would be in front of you for the final PUD early in October. But right now, this is the early PUD. And really, before I get back to the buffer comment, I wanted to address some of the major concerns I think we can address. And the number one being the buffer. But traffic and fire, we have letters from engineering as well as the fire department. Sorry about that. We have letters from engineering and fire and city staff. The Edgewood Road capacity has been analyzed for this development. We do have capacity on Edgewood Road to serve this development. It would not be a detrimental impact to the serviceability of that road. And we have fire saying that they support increased service or service provisions to this development. And the other one that was, I think, is probably the biggest is the transition. Seth has mentioned it. We will certainly look at that as we refine our final PUD prior to the planning and zoning meeting at the end of the month. If Seth is open to it, we will sharpen the pencil, fine tune the numbers. And if we can make a 60 or 65, or maybe a little bit larger lot work along Edgewood Road, and it satisfies the neighbors, and it kind of is a win-win compromise for everyone, we're all about that. We want to make sure that it's a viable product for us and for the neighbors, because we're also want to be a good steward of the neighborhood. But as I referenced, I do have some big maps up here. I will leave these up here in case anyone's interested in looking at that. So we have the final PUD. I don't know if Pat has a copy to put on the screen. If not, I can.
I do have a copy, but I wasn't able to get it here for this.
That's fine. So the final PUD does have a little bit of a jog in it. I know it's not everything that you had referenced or had wished for, but we do have some jog, trying to add some character to the neighborhood. We do show landscaping along Edgewood Road. We do show landscaping along 380. So there's some symbols and some line type in there for trees. We will specifically look at fairway for this living fence product type. And if Hall and Hall has done that in the past, we will absolutely get that incorporated into our final PUD application. But again, this is the preliminary PUD. And as we feel and believe, we think this fits the vision and the intent of the comprehensive plan established in 2016. So thank you.
Yeah, to that point, let me be specific. Talking about fairway, that was an issue with berms and also putting trees. But I think something that you might want to look a lot closer at is behind Boyson Square in front of Litchfield.
Sure.
And that really tells a story.
We will make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and one other, I know I'm repeating, but I heard you say that you would consider modifying the development slightly to have a better buffer, don't stay away from trees, but, from a little larger lot to smaller.
Yeah, I think we can certainly entertain some investigation into that. Primarily, I think the main focus was against Edgewood Road. The larger community at Hunt Road and Edgewood Road, those are 1 acre plus lots. Is there something nearest to them that we can increase the lot size a little bit and then taper into the intent of the medium density residential as we get further into the lot? We will investigate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really don't know if you want to end the public hearing. I did have a question for city engineer here. Do you want to end the public hearing first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any?
Wait, one last point. This is Brian Steffen again. Last point I just want to make briefly. They talk about a potential market price of $325,000 per unit. At $1,500 to $1,700 a square foot for a ranch, you're looking at a square foot pricing of somewhere $180 to $190 per square foot. I'm going through a refinancing myself right now. After having gone through an appraisal, there is no market of how homes in this area, in this northern area, that even approach that sort of pricing. I would say you really need to consider whether that sort of pricing is even achievable with the size homes that they're talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:13. First, second, third reading will be considered at the September 15th, 2021 council meeting. So
Just
everybody knows.
Real quick, I know I wanted to ask the city engineer real quick on, because a lot of people did bring up the potential traffic issues within the proposed development. And can you kind of speak to some of those concerns?
Yeah, we'll give a little stab at it. So one of the questions was, is Tower Terrace interchange actually going to happen? Yes, it's going to happen. We have a pre-construction meeting with the DOT coming up in the late September, I believe it is. And so we had been planning for this for many years. And with the county, they repaved Edgewood Road in 2018 with that in mind. And so we are going to see additional traffic on Edgewood Road as part of the detour plan. So that will be coming, and that will start giving us a little idea of what the additional traffic may be. And so with that reconstruction in 2018, there was 3 high points of the road just in this stretch of from the S curve, I guess I'll call it, down by the school up to Fitzroy, where the roadway was actually lowered some to help with the sightline distances and just improve the safety of that road. And we know, as we've been working with all the developments through the past number of years, we have each development that has come on board, we have gotten right of way for future improvements, whether that's a center turn lane and improvements to an urban road section. So the city has been very diligent for a very long time now to acquire that right of way. So we are prepared as these developments continue to come on board that we will be able to make those improvements. Does that mean we're going to be able to maintain 35 miles an hour? Very high likelihood that this will become more of a residential street, and we probably will at some point have to lower that speed limit. But we will, again, as the years go on, as the developments continue on, we will have to investigate that.
And could you mention the trail as well?
Yeah, so the trail, actually, it really didn't come up, but there is some internal sidewalk, and then we have the trail that is proposed on the east side up against the properties that are right along Edgewood Road. And then that trail will go along the north road that runs east and west, which appears to be Ann Drive. And we have asked the developer that, it's a little hard, but right at the very top of that picture, there is a detention basin, and we will take our trail system that will continue to the north on Edgewood Road, but we will also have the internal sidewalks connect to a trail that will eventually get over to Turtle Creek. But we have asked them to put that trail in as a part of this project up to the city property line, which is on the south end of the Turtle Creek Park. So they have accommodated some of that, and that is exactly that detention basin. I know that came up earlier. There's a number of dotted or dashed lines up there that show the detention areas for this property.
John, there was something that I read in one of the letters. There was a concern, and quite honestly, I've experienced it taking my granddaughters to Twisters with the traffic along Edgewood and Tower Terrace Road and Miller. That can really become problematic at certain times. And certainly with the development that we're going to be doing along Edgewood, it's going to increase that traffic. Have we given any thought to a signalized intersection there?
Not at this time as a part of the DOT project. And I'm not sure how many years out we're out as far as working with Cedar Rapids. We've been trying to get money to do a long-term plan for Edgewood, which would start all the way down at Blair's Ferry Road and kind of realign Edgewood in its entirety. And it would bypass Miller Road altogether. So it kind of come up along the west side of Twisters and straighten out Edgewood Road so that curve would actually go away. So how many years out is that? I'm not exactly sure, but right now there is no planned traffic signal at Tower Terrace Road and Edgewood.
At that T intersection.
At the intersection.
And that'll be based on the total number of cars that's when they'll decide to, that's when they'll decide to pull the trigger, will be based.
And we do a traffic count.
Yep. And we'll continue, both Cedar Rapids and Hiawatha will continue to watch those traffic numbers. And
So the point of that, Kim, it's not out of the question.
Right.
If the traffic was there.
And we also have to, everyone needs to understand that we actually don't, that intersection of Tower Terrace and Edgewood is actually in Cedar Rapids. So we do work with them very closely. Same thing with Miller Road. That is 100% Cedar Rapids. But that doesn't mean we're just abandoning it, but we do talk to them frequently. And we have all sorts of agreements in place with them.
I'm sorry, did you say Hunt Road? And those certainly county is a part of the Tower Terrace Interchange project as well. Actually, all of our metro communities are part of that discussion. So county's been at the table as well.
Went in on Monday night, by Wednesday night, We lived at 15 years. That's the first time I've seen a counter on that road. So how do you know what the true traffic is on Edward Road at this time? If you only took a half of, 2 halves and 1 full day of the count.
That wasn't us.
We don't know. I don't know who did the traffic counter. That was not us. Oh. Okay. So we have predictors, and the DOT also has their predictors that they actually go out to like 2040. So everybody has their predictors. I mean, are they exactly accurate? No, but I think it's every 5 years the DOT actually reaches out to us and say, what streets do you want us to count today? So there are counts being done regularly.
I know that public hearing has been closed, but
Yeah.
we'll just finish this one last question. And so if you could just restate that again.
Sure. I'm just curious if when the traffic studies are being done
Yeah.
in the area at this time right now, if consideration of COVID is in effect at all, because a lot of people are still working remotely and not moving around as much as they will whenever this all happens.
Mhm. I think along with the traffic counts that we do upon new development and the DOT's traffic counts, and we also have opportunity through the police department to establish some of that too. So we will continue. This will be something we'll continue to look at it as we go and as development happens.
Okay. Action on this item will also be considered at the September 15th, 2021 council meeting. Consider resolution approving the preliminary development plan for Edgewood Village addition.
Yeah.
But
item B will also be a part of the September 15th.
Right. But
I think
Okay.
we go to item 8 then.
what's that?
I think we skip down to item 8 then if we're tabling this one for today.
Okay. Yeah, because this is all going to the 15th. Okay. All right. We're just going to go down to item number 8. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. We will see you on the 15th. Item 8, Hiawatha Code of Ordinance, Chapter 165, Unified Development Code change, adding 160. No.
We're not doing B?
No. It's all, we're going to come back on the 15th.
Okay.
Right?
I can't hear what your question is, Rob.
We're not doing 8 or 7B.
We are not. No.
Okay.
Yep.
What's 7B?
Consider resolution approving preliminary development.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, back to item 8, and we're going to go with Hiawatha Code of Ordinance, Chapter 165, Unified Development Code change, adding 165.24B, fireworks sales and limited fireworks sales to I-1 and I-2 zoning districts. A, consider first reading.
I'll move.
Second.
Roll call.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall.
Aye.
B, consider waiving second and third reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And C, consider adoption.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall.
Aye.
And D, consider resolution approving an extension to the ordinance 963 of the city of Hiawatha for allowing temporary fireworks sales.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Rob Archibald.
Aye.
Number 9, consider resolution approving the FY 2021 street finance report.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson.
Aye.
Number 10, Tower Commerce Center 17th edition. A, consider resolution approving the final plot and development agreement with Tower Commerce Center 17th edition.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle.
Aye.
Number 11, Rolling Prairie 4th edition. A, consider resolution approving the final plot and development agreement for Rolling Prairie 4th edition.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall.
Aye.
And B, consider resolution accepting improvements installation for Rolling Prairie Estates 4th edition.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall.
Aye.
Number 12, Rolling Prairie 5th edition. A, consider resolution approving the final plot and development agreement for Rolling Prairie 5th edition.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Just for discussion that we had earlier, there is lots in here that are 0.23. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, they
I
do,
know.
they
do exist.
Yeah, they do exist. So it's not 0.15, but it is pushing down there. So
Okay.
you can react however you'd like.
Roll call, please.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Rob Archibald.
Aye.
Number 13, Hiawatha Sidewalk Maintenance Program. A, consider resolution awarding contract to Hiawatha Sidewalk Maintenance Program.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson.
Aye.
Number 14, consider resolution authorizing city staff to move forward with a preparation and execution of a structural fire training agreement with Hiawatha Property LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mine are always too close to fire lines. We never get
Yeah.
mine burnt.
Good to see this opportunity come up. This is a great training for the fire department. So.
Absolutely. Roll call, please.
Amy Wickendall,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle.
Aye.
Just means you need to go buy more.
No. 15, consider resolution amending an unmanned aerial system.
So moved.
Second.
Ain't you one of these guys?
Yeah, he is. He's a drone man.
Roll call.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall.
Aye.
Number 16, consider resolution approving 28E agreement between the city of Hiawatha and the city of Marion regarding public safety software.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I like to see the
Share them.
conglomeration of the two cities coming together. So
Let's keep it up.
nice job, Colonel.
Roll call.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Dick Olson,
Aye.
Jerry Moinkle,
Aye.
Amy Wickendall.
Number 17, placement of any items for the next agenda. Does anybody have anything?
Nothing barn burning, so I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much, Amy. And do we have a
You
second?
cannot put that in. the
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:30.
Do greatly appreciate everybody that came.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Do you
That's
see the
good.
indent
awesome
in
talk.
my finger?
I'm sitting there worried about it.
The topic was
Really, the city clerk needs to be,
popular out here.
you can rotate your.
Rotate
hands.
Bottom
my
line
hands.
topic was it's too popular out here.
I was holding on
Okay.
my everything I wanted to say to the end. I thought we were going to do the. I guess.
Yeah, I have more too, but.
Yeah.
I talked to Kim earlier because
Oh.
I think the motion's on the table.
How many pages of minutes do you have thrown that in?
And then she told me.